So this week, I realised it's a 5-minute walk to the bar, and then coming home, it took me about half an hour. The difference is staggering. There you go. That's it. I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead with that one.
The thing is, we've all seen each of us staggering. That's
it.
Yes.
Yeah. We've all been there. Endless shindigs, and that's not a confirmation. We are not. No, there's no confirmation.
You said the S word. Reset the clock.
Shit! Stop the clock. Oh God. Anyway, swiftly moving on. Hello everyone, and welcome to the Black Dog version 2, number 103. I'm Lee.
I'm not Darren.
And I'm Jim.
And this week we'll be seeing how everyone's week's been, and then we will be doing a little bit of feedback for last week's episode, which was Event Horizon, and then we will be moving on to this week's choice, which was your choice, Elton, wasn't it?
It was, yes. I'm trying to remember the name. I Came By, I think it's called.
Yes, I Came By, which was not, as I suspected, something to do with one man and his dog.
Or Pornhub.
Or Pornhub, yeah. Hold on.
I came by, my lord. I came by.
Came by, come by, and close the gate. Let them in. Now, anyone born in the 70s and the 80s in the UK will know that stupid show.
That was actually a programme, wasn't it?
It was. Sunday night, watching for almost an hour, a bloke trying to get sheep into a pen using a dog from a quarter of a mile away.
It's the most British thing you could put on TV, isn't it?
Well, after that, casual racism and xenophobia. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, it's a close third.
It's a close third. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah. Do look it up. I might even put it on the Facebook group. One man and his dog. It's quite a thing. Anyway.
It certainly is.
It certainly is. Anyway, so yes, Darren's not here this week. Basically, he's got family stuff to deal with. Everything's fine as far as we're aware, so don't worry about that. But he will be back next week. So, yes, we shall move on to how everyone's week's been. And we will start, as ever, with you, sir, Mr. Jim. How has your week been, sir? How has your techno troubles been going?
That's ongoing.
Still ongoing, okay.
The old computer decided it wasn't going to boot at all anymore, which is rather annoying. It's kind of
oh,
damn it! I was going to hope to have a little backup computer, but it's going to need some more work.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, yeah. I'm fairly sure it is a problem with the Windows update, which is stopping it booting. Which means the hard drive, all the files from the hard drive, I've got to mess about and get them off, and I might just take it to the man I know who's good at computer repairs and cheap, and say, just sort it out.
Yeah,
just you do it. Yeah. I don't have the time to sit and fart and watch it reboot 500 times. And no, what have I done wrong? Okay, try again.
Nice.
Other than that, the new machine's running nice and well. Apart from the fact when I went to do a scan, I found, thanks to a recent Windows update, my scanner now no longer works on Windows 10.
Eh?
With grim inevitability.
Admittedly, this is a very old scanner, but it's a bloody good one. I've had two scanners since that were frankly shite in comparison. This is an old Canon scanner.
Right.
From about the turn of the century. Right. And it is a beast of a machine. It's a really good scan. Far better than the other two I've had in the past. They've all died with printers and gone to the tip a long time ago. But now, thanks to a recent Windows update, now the drivers don't work.
Oh, fuck.
Bollocks. However, I do have an old machine that's running, I think, Windows 7, And I've got a laptop still on the go that runs XP, so I'm going to have to jury rig those up for any time I want to do some scanning, apparently. Nice. So I'm not buying a new one because it's a waste of fucking money, frankly.
Yes, yeah.
I think everyone should have a spare XP laptop in their house.
Yeah.
You just never know when it's going to come in handy.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, or just get one of those... just get an OCR reader for your phone, and then just take a photograph of things. I mean, surely that's the easiest way now, isn't it? Just read some text off your phone and click, done.
Unfortunately, not for doing all like book covers and things I use my scanner for.
Okay.
Because I mean, it's a big old flatbed. It's bigger than modern use pissy scanners. You get attached to a useless printer that will eat 500 cartridges at the cost of £40 each, then die after printing 3 pages.
Yes.
Mentioning no names, i.e. all the major leading brand names on the market currently.
Yeah. HP Saucer?
Epsom
salts. Yeah.
Other than that, I had to do some very expensive paperwork as I got a notification on PayPal saying, due to EU regulations, I've earned so much, now have to prove my business is registered. Now, in the UK, you can be 3 things tax-wise. You can be a sole trader, you can be a limited company, or an incorporated company. Those 2, you get a business number. However, for most self-employed people, like myself, you're a sole trader. And you don't get a business number. But PayPal can't be asked to sort that out and give you that as an option. So I've had endless batting to and fro, asking for documents to prove my fucking identity. And they've got enough now to steal my identity 6 times over, and it still wasn't fucking good enough. One of the problems I found out was, thanks to my taking an eye off the ball because of COVID, when I scanned my passport, when the scanner was still working last week, I have unfortunately, it had elapsed. It had expired. So I had to get a new one. So, which, by the time you send it registered post, got pictures done, that's about just under £100. Brilliant. Thanks so much for that.
No.
Really, really pleased.
Fuck's sake.
So where are you going on your holidays then?
I
have to use it now.
Well, this is it. To pay for a bloody passport I didn't intend to use at all.
Well, I mean, maybe anywhere but the UK might be a good idea.
Well, the way things are going, I'll need the passport to go to fucking Scotland in about 6 months' time, so or Wales, so.
or just if you want to come through past the Watford Gap, I think is.
Yes, yeah. But anyhow, if all that wasn't enough, it's been proper biblical round here.
Yes.
Archer Street has flooded twice.
Right, yeah.
I mean, proper. I don't know if you've seen the picture I posted on Twitter, but literally, I got up through the morning and there was a canal where the road should be.
Oh, good Lord.
Thankfully, none got into the house, but it was the highest. It actually, there's like a tiny, little, like 2-inch step up from the pavement into like a little courtyard to our house. And this time it was actually in our courtyard, washing around. Kind of, you've never been that high before. I do not like this knot.
Oh shit!
But yeah, that was only the beginning of the fun. In our house we have a loft which we don't use, largely because the hatch to it is tiny, and because the way the joists go, you can't really enlarge it. So I've never bothered. But it's like a little glass skylight, with like kind of that frosted, wobbly glass you used to get in 70s bathrooms.
Oh, yes.
Well, the day of the flood, it literally shot it down in the early morning, literally drumming on the roof like hailstones. As I passed the skylight at lunchtime, I noticed there was a large shadow over it. I thought, oh my God, no. It's a tile stone, isn't it?
Here we go.
So I got the step ladders.
Yeah.
I pushed the little flap up, as you have to, and this object, unsuspecting distraction, rolled away. Now, however, because our loft is insulated to buggery, it very much soon rolled straight back through the gap I just made and came down on my head.
Oh, no.
And it wasn't a tile.
No.
It was a wasp's nest.
Oh, no.
About the size of a football.
Fuck's sake.
I know. Clearly, I don't know how long it had been up there. But somehow the rain had dislodged it, or they built it so big it finally just dropped off the raft it was glued to.
Fucking hell.
So there were literally wasps everywhere. Luckily, because it had dropped from the loft, and it had already dropped down, most of the wasps were already out of the nest and farting around in the loft like idiots. But there was quite a few ones coming out of the nest very dopey, so I got stung multiple times. Oh, no. I got away quite lightly, but I did have one in my hair, and I'm running around so getting out and stinging my finger and stinging my head, and I had like 3 in my shirt crawling around, stinging me, like, fuck off, you bastards.
Oh, God.
And so it was like, shut all the doors, keep the dog downstairs, contain the area. I was sort of barricaded in my office. However, in my office is Henry the Hoover.
Yes.
So I thought, I'm fucking getting you. So basically, it was me and Henry Hoover, about 200, wasps nil. And I was just poking the flags out there.
I mean, as a British remake of Ghostbusters goes, I mean, it's a novel one. I'll give you that.
Probably not humane, but after I've been stung several times, I'm just like, fuck you.
Yeah, all bets are off.
I'm not pissing around here.
Yeah, this isn't fucking Star Trek. There's no understanding between species. Bollocks to you. Get up there, Hoover.
I got off remarkably lightly because it had been a cold day, so they were pretty dopey. But so the one on my head stung me about 3 times. That was quite painful on top of my scalp. But the worst one just got me on the inside of my index finger.
Oh.
And that really hurt. And it wasn't just the sting, but it was kind of obviously it hit a nerve because the hand was sensitive. Every time I touched the hand, I got this pain shoot up my arm.
Oh, yikes.
It's like, oh, you little bastards.
Yeah.
So that was that. So it was an absolute fucking disaster of a week, all in all.
Nice.
I'm going to a bunker for the rest of the year. I've just had enough.
Yeah.
I'm done with this year now.
I was going to say,
I'm just throwing the petrol, throwing the lighter behind me, walking off. Boom! Fuck you.
Just make sure the bunker's got an XP computer in there.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely, always.
It's the only thing that'll be working. Oh, right. Okay. Well, you've done well. 2022's really helped you out there, Jim, hasn't it?
It has. It's just been an unmitigated disaster start to finish so far.
Well, they say things come in threes, so maybe that's it done now. Your scanner, your PCs, your electronics kit, the wasp's nest. Come on, you're fine now.
I'm 3 times 3 over here, I think.
Yeah. Oh, right. Well, I think we'll leave it there. Well,
I think so.
If we hear any scratching or the application of thick calamine lotion, we'll know what's going on. Yeah. Yep. We won't imply anything else. Right. I mean, I was going to say you haven't got a holiday in Centre Parcs, have you, over the next week coming up?
No, thankfully not. No.
Okay. Right. Just double checking.
Sorry, that was a bit slow for me there.
Yeah, that's fine. It's a joke that'll only work this week, and when someone comes back to this episode in like 2 years' time, they'll be like, "What the fuck happened there?"
Centre Parcs. What happened there?
What happened there?
Google Centre Parcs. No, nothing.
No, nothing going on there. Okay then. Right. Well, over to you then, Elton. Over to you. How was your week, sir?
Well, it's just become increasingly while Jim was talking there, I just had a spider the size of a face hugger just run across the floor. And so I'm checking all the corners as we speak now.
Oh, right. So
gone under the bed behind me. Yeah, you know that bit where Ripley sets off the smoke alarms.
Yeah, and Hicks not only shoots through the completely armoured glass, but then throws himself through it, and that's the bit
right.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Get its legs. Legs.
I'm just gonna get my lighter out. So if you hear all the alarms go off, don't be alarmed. It's fine.
Yeah, don't worry, they're coming, honey.
That bastard is somewhere, honestly. Oh, God. Oh. Anyway, apart from that...
Squeak! And it all goes quiet.
It's all right, Bishop, that one likes you. I went to my mum's yesterday. Now, she's in Australia because we had this little chat a couple of weeks ago about her getting on the plane.
Yes.
And I went there just to make sure that things are all right in the house and everything's... Well, things aren't on fire or flooding or the gas was left on, etc. And some son of a gun, because they have like a double driveway so you can fit two cars on the front. And my mum wanted the car parked on to the left-hand side so people don't walk down a certain side of the car and scratch it and whatever.
Yep.
As you look at the house, the left-hand side of the driveway is completely empty. And in between their next-door neighbour and their driveway is a tree and the smallest bit of raised curb that you could find in the London Borough of Bexley.
Right.
Someone has decided to park on that part, but not just in between the two houses, halfway across my mum's driveway. So I rock up yesterday just to make sure everything's all right, and then have to squeeze my van very gingerly. I'm thinking about ramming this car, but squeeze it very gingerly onto the driveway. And once it's on there, it's blocked. I'm blocked by the car in front of it. So I thought, no, this ain't on. You know, my old man would be fucking spitting feathers at this.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell my mum because she would be spitting feathers from Australia. You'd be able to hear it from over there.
She'd be on a plane back.
Yeah, it'd be like that bit in Snatch where it's like drink a drink, fly on a plane, land. Hello, Harry.
Yep.
Harry.
Hey.
So I thought, fuck it. So I reported it to the council as an abandoned car. So fuck them.
Nice.
So I don't know whether it's going to get towed, whether it's what the hell is going to happen, but hopefully someone will come along and either ticket it or drag it away to be crushed and burned with fire at a later date.
Yeah, lovely. That's the way to do it.
Yeah, I thought, stop. You know what? I'm fed up with people taking the piss out of us.
Yes.
We're a very quiet family, and it just seems, people just tried to walk over us, and it pisses me off. And now it's like, nah, do you know what? Fuck you. I did think about ramming it. Oh dear, my foot slipped off the clutch, did it? Oh, what a shame.
Oh, does happen.
Yeah, but then I thought, it's paperwork as well, isn't it? So but if it's there next time, I'm just going to reverse into it slowly and just push it.
Well, if it's over a drive, it's illegal to park over a drive. It's illegal to park in a place that obstructs access. Yeah, well... So you just report it to the police, and they just tow it away.
I think that's a very grey area.
It's not. It's literally in the highway code.
Is it? Because I've spoken to people about this, and they're like, well, if there's not a car there, you're not blocking anyone, so it's all right. But it's a drop curb. I've had this discussion loads and loads of times, and people have varying thoughts on it. I should just check the highway code, really, shouldn't I? But
there's a fun in that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'd rather talk to 3 drunk men down the pub about this and get all their different views.
Well, according to 2020, according to the drivingschool.com, they are inconsiderate neighbours parking across the driveway. They're committing an offence and could be liable for 3 points.
Sweet as a nut.
There you go. It's not always technically illegal to park in front of a driveway, so in other words, it can be extenuating circumstances, such as, parties and people who own a house allowing someone to park in front of a driveway, but it is illegal to block access.
Right.
Bosh.
Okay. Thank you very much.
There you go. Google is your friend.
Yep. Well, it's already been sent off, so I'll just wait the email to come back saying, actually, we couldn't do anything about this. They're parked illegally and fairly, so you won't be able to do anything about it. I'm sorry that you can't get on your driveway. Oh,
No.
well.
Well, it's you know the worst thing about driveways. The worst thing of all about driveways is sheer amount of broken glass that appears at the bottom of a driveway. Just things like bottles can just get smashed.
Oh, yeah, they
underneath.
do, don't they? They just tend to grow, don't they?
It's just amazing how it's just the camber of the road that allows all the glass to congeal and collect underneath wheels on driveways.
It's almost like they're wedged. That's just physics, unfortunately, though.
Yeah. Someone just decides to stick, if somehow like
screws as well.
Screws, 12-inch nails. I mean, anything. It's just the camber of the road, mate.
Yeah.
I mean, even like Stanley knives, they always seem to roll down there.
and jam as well. It's really
Jam.
weird. Jam,
Dog shit,
just grows on door handles around there, doesn't it? It's strange.
tire fires.
I believe around this time of year, potatoes like to nest, and cold exhaust pipes are a favourite nesting spot for the wild British potato.
Right,
What is this, a remake of fucking Beverly Hills Cop, except instead of bananas, we're using potatoes.
Yeah. Well, the potato is the natural green solution.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
If you want a permanent stopper, expanding cavity wall foam.
That is a very good one. Yeah, not that we'd ever endorse that.
No, not at all.
Mastic as well. Tube of mastic. You push the tube of mastic up, and then what you do is you compress it, and then what you do is you puncture it, and then you just walk away. But I wouldn't endorse that either.
Oh, where's he got it? That fucking spider's moved again. There he is. I got him.
Well, it helped to know it's only looking for a mate, Elton.
That's what I'm worried about. I can be very attractive sometimes.
It's your distended abdomen. That's what it is. That's what it's looking for.
Right, I've just taken a photo of, I'd like to say him. I don't know. I haven't looked underneath the feathers yet. But
underneath the feathers? What kind of fucking spider is that? I think you'll find it's a pigeon.
That is pretty big.
Yeah, I mean, as facehuggers go, I mean, it's lacking a tail, so you got no worry for it trying to attach itself to you. But I mean, it does look vaguely head crabbish. I mean, you should have a sort of you should have your HVAC suit on with your crowbar, I think.
He's right behind me. Son of a bitch.
Shall we listen in, listeners, as Elton wrestles with a spider the size of a 50p piece?
He's not 50p piece. Right, okay, hang on. Sorry, I need to
It's
move
all
this.
it's all legs. It's all legs, and it's just a tiny body.
Okay, right. I've taken another photo so you can see it. It's a photo next to a plug so you can see that. And he's running again. Son of a bitch.
Oh. Yeah,
During your week, I'm going to have to deal with this, I'm afraid.
Always, he's got
I
his
recommend
legs
a
up.
Henry the Hoover.
Yeah, Henry the Hoover. Jim's got one full of wasps.
To switch it to blow and fire them at it.
Yeah.
Bullets.
It's become the modern day version of a new and old lady who swallowed a fly. Yeah. I used a Henry Hoover to swallow a nest, and then I swallowed a spider. then a car illegally parked across my fucking driveway. Just kind of works up and escalates. Henry the Hoover's we should get some fucking sponsorship at this point.
Definitely.
Should do, yeah.
Oh wow.
Apart from that, I'm afraid I've become addicted to what I can only describe as, I think, a 10-year-old app on my phone.
A 10-year-old app.
Yeah.
Hold on. A 10-year-old, app.
Punctuation is important.
I was going to say, in this particular instance.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, what?
Well, hang on. What does it mean when there is no comma?
Well, if there is no comma, it's a 10-year-old application, as in an application that is 10 years old. But if you say a 10-year-old app...
Oh, right. Well, okay, the application on my phone, I think, is 10 years old. Does that get me out of any sort of water?
I was going to say, yeah, I was...
Oh, God, no. No, we've had enough of Prince Andrew on our TV for it to last a lifetime.
Steady. You'll get dragged out of the room. We'll have none of that talk.
That's true, yeah.
Mornhub demands that we all be solemn.
Mornhub. It's like moaning, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah. We are recording this podcast, but we're not allowed due to a time of mourning to release it until October.
Oh,
Anyway, so yes, you've become addicted to a 10-year-old. I mean,
No.
an app, a 10-year-old app. Yeah. So would you just like to speak into this? Is your final statement before the police take you away? You anti-royalist bastard.
the application on my phone that I have become addicted to, which is really flipping annoying. But I know when it's going to finish is when I get the last thing, and I'm very close to getting the last thing, and I didn't think I'd ever get addicted to this. And it's stupid, and I'm embarrassed about it as well. But once it's over, it's over.
Rip the Band-Aid off, Elton. We're all here. We're not going to judge you. You know us.
And there's a reason behind it as well. It's Cookie Clicker.
Cookie Clicker?
Do you remember that one from like
euphemism.
years ago?
I do.
So you're after a 10-year-old cookie?
Stop it. Stop it now. Stop it.
Okay.
And, okay, I was looking through... No, stop it. I was on YouTube.
Yes.
And I was... I forget which... I think it's Alt X that I was going through, that they have lots of programs about, like Game of Thrones and Dune and other things. And he's done a video on Cookie Clicker. And I thought, what the bloody hell was that? Because I'd totally forgotten about it. And I clicked on it and started, and he's built it up. I know it hasn't got this mythology that goes along with this thing, but the way that he explained this app on the computer, I was like, oh, I'm intrigued. And he built it up royally. I was like, wow, this is incredible. I need to find Cookie Clicker. I need to be reminded of this. I didn't realise that all this mythology was there. It's not there. It's just you pressing a cookie on your phone.
Yes, it's just...
Fuck you know.
What, you being attacked by the spider again?
He's just run across the fucking floor again. Jesus Christ. Son of a... Right, I'm going to get this done really quickly. So, Cookie Clicker. Got addicted to it. And yeah. So, yeah. I don't want to kill him. I just need to throw him out the window.
Right. Is that right, yeah?
Yeah. I forget where I was now. Cookie Clicker. Yeah, I'm addicted to that until the last bit. So
until the last bit, why? What's going on with the last bit?
I just need to get to like 1 jillion cookies and then I'm done.
What?
I'm about halfway there at the moment. I always get... All right, okay, there's hundreds, thousands, millions, trillions. No, millions, billions, trillions.
Right.
And then I think it's jillion after that, isn't it? I need 1 jillion cookies and then I can delete it off my phone and say, right, I've got there.
1 jillion cookies.
Yeah.
What? Is that even a word?
It is, yes. I actually, this is the thing. I looked it up.
Or is
I was
it
like,
a gillion?
A Gillian?
Oh, is it Gillian? Sorry,
I don't know.
What, as in Gillian Anderson? What? What?
Her sister, Billion Anderson.
Yeah. A Billion and Gillian Anderson. I don't know. What is wrong with you, man?
I don't know.
It's the adrenaline. It's the spider.
It is. It's the spiders having him. The spiders.
The floor is lava at the moment. That fucker is down there somewhere.
The floor is lava, is it?
Oh, there he is. I can see the fucker.
So do you want some battle music while you do battle? Hold on. I mean, we can see what we can do here. Hold on.
Ooh.
Yeah. It's, we just got a bit of Star Trek arena music going for you,
okay,
Elton.
Yeah, that'll do me.
Yeah, you're gonna just do battle with your spider now.
Oh fucking hell!
Fight back.
Keep going.
Come in, Echo Base. Come in. Rogue leader, are you there? Go for the legs.
Which one? Anyone?
Right, I need to deal with this. That's my week.
Go on, Elton.
I will be back in about 10 minutes. He's huge, man.
Go on, talk us through it. We haven't got Darren. We got time.
Right, we're having this standoff. You know, in Jurassic Park, where they're like, "Don't move." His vision's based off movement. I think we're both doing that at the moment. He's looking at me going, "You can't see me if I don't move," and I'm doing exactly the same.
This music goes perfectly with it, I've got to say.
Do you want me to shut the mic off, or do you want me to do this in the background? And
No, you
scream.
You carry on. This is fine. I mean, my week's not entirely that interesting, to be honest. I just like the music playing at the moment. Go on.
Well, no, seriously, I need to get rid of this bastard. He is scaring the bejesus out of me.
Go on, go do your things.
Okay, right, I'm going to go.
Right. So while Elton does battle with a spider, well, Jim, you're the sole listener to how my week was. Meanwhile, Elton carries on. I'm just curious. My week isn't really that interesting. I'll just cap it off by just saying, "Oh, what's he doing now?" my week, I did
put him a fight.
Yeah, the sound of Godzilla off in the background. Go on, Elton. Use the flamethrower. Oh, you can't hear us. Anyway, I went with Carol to Masseoke in Camden, which is basically where you go and you it's just you go and there's a hut. Okay, I'm just gonna stop. It's not even. We're just going to hear the last moments of Elton's life. This is going to be one of those live podcast moments where someone gets killed by a spider live on air. Is he done?
Done.
There you go,
motherfucker!
Way well done.
Oh, two sheets of A4 paper, and I pushed him onto one, and he started running towards my fingers. I was like, no, wrong way.
Bad spider.
And how precisely did you stop him from running on your fingers?
I tipped up the A4 and pushed him onto the other piece. I pushed him onto it. It's a very A4 centric story. You had to be there, but he's now out the window. Thank goodness.
Okay. Well, there you go. I think.
Wasn't that exciting?
It was, and the Star Trek music. I've got to keep that for next time. That's good. I'm liking that. Yeah. Okay. Well, like I say, my week's very boring. This week I just everything's been cancelled in the world ever because someone's nan died, and other than that, we went to Masseoke, which was the live band in the Electric Ballroom in Camden, and they played the music, and like several hundred people in a small sort of dance area basically sing it, get very drunk and sing the songs. Oh, it's actually really good fun. It's as camp as tits, and it's quite funny. And
you've done that before, haven't you?
Yeah, I have done it before. Yeah, the funniest bit was we were doing it, but as we did it, we went over to do it. The current reigning monarch became the ex-current reigning monarch, and that was the end of that. So yeah.
Oh, did it stop after that? Did it?
No, it didn't.
It carried on.
Yeah, they played Queen.
Nice.
Oh,
yeah. So there you go. But it was all light-hearted. Unlike the BBC, which have been spending the last four days informing us that she's still dead. Which is fine. Still dead. Yeah. I mean, I'm still concerned why they put her in a lead-lined coffin. I'm really concerned about that. That really bugs me. I don't know what the deal is with that. What is the deal with that? Does anybody actually know?
I don't know. Stop them rising again, I think.
I mean, I'm not a royalist and I'm not anti-royalist. I just there's it's the same with anything. If it was a monarch's death or the World Cup, there comes a point where I just like, you know what, I'm done. I can
wait until the end of this year. Then, God, it'll be coming home again very, very soon.
Yeah, well, I know because I worked on the 3D for one of the stadiums in Qatar.
Ah.
So I know what it looks like. I've been on that job. I was on that job since about 2016.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I know all about that. But the Al Rayyan. But yeah, other than that, there's not really been an awful lot going on. Apart from I played a video game, which I know video game discussions are one of those things which is kind of like, and it's really cool kind of thing. But this one was actually quite funny. Basically, it's called Heavenly Bodies. No, stop it. and it's not what you think. Shut up, Sid. It was. It's basically it's a Newtonian physics astronaut simulator, and you have to control the astronauts, and like each trigger on the controller controls a limb. And your astronaut just travels in a straight line until he's acted upon by another force or hits a wall or anything, and they get you to do little tasks inside the space station. And it starts off thinking, oh, that's really simple, and then you end up finding yourself sort of careening off into deep space because you accidentally hit an airlock and pushed yourself out, and your arms don't work properly because you're upside down, and your brain's not controlling the controllers right because it don't work. And yeah, it's both frustrating and vaguely terrifying in a kind of eldritch, kind of Lovecraftian, the universe doesn't care about you way as you kind of float away from the space station with no means of getting back to it.
That would be really good in VR.
Oh, absolutely. But this thing is like 2D, so it's very, very. It's not that kind of game. But
oh, sorry. Okay.
No. It's more like it's like I say. It's more like you got your character is smack bang center in the screen, and then the screen rotates based on your orientation. So, and what starts off as you're kind of like, oh yeah, I know how my left and right works. But then when your character's upside down and you're going left and right, and you're using the left and right sticks, and the wrong hands are going, you're like, no, I don't understand. My brain's not working that way anymore. And then, you've got to pull down for the arms to go up because your character's upside down, and it's just like, oh, space is hard. And then, yeah, and then when you play multiplayer and there's two of you kind of bouncing around inside this space station, and you're just like, oh, fuck off. get your foot off my helmet. and that sort of thing. Yeah.
What's this called then?
It's called Heavenly Bodies. It's on the PlayStation and on Xbox, and I believe on PC. And it's very weird. Very hard to do, very hard to describe, but it's a lot of fun and also extremely frustrating. Anyway, so that's it. Yeah, I mean that's really been it. I mean, we were going to go and see a film called See How They Run, but we didn't get a chance to get out and see it.
Okay, well I've just googled Heavenly Bodies.
Oh God! Oh no! Hold on. Hold on, I will give you the Heavenly
That's right, I
Bodies
found it on
console
Steam.
games. There you go. Heavenly Bodies console game. There you go. It's 10 out of 10 on Steam. There you go. By 2 Point Interactive. It's fun. It's good fun if you've got the time and the patience.
Oh, it's like I Am Toast.
Yeah, that's it. You just kind of float around and try and make things, try and get things to work. It's kind of almost like Octodad as well, where you're kind of slapping around.
Oh, God.
Things. Yeah, it's that kind of thing. But imagine Octodad, but with zero gravity. It's just like you're just bashing off of everything. Oh, I just need to pick up this spanner. Oh, I've knocked it. Oh, it's floated off down the other end of the space station. Okay, right, fine. You're just kind of ricocheting around like a lunatic.
If that's on PlayStation, I might have to get that then, because I've always wanted to play that. I think, what's the other one? There's another one where it will just try and climb up walls, and it's very much a multiplayer game.
Oh, Fall Guys.
No, it's not Fall Guys. Oh, I forget what it was. Neebs on YouTube did it, a couple of reviews on it, and played a couple of games on it, and it was really, really funny. But yeah, it's a very similar sort of thing. But yeah, man, I'm well up for that.
Yeah, it's quite funny. And actually, if you do get it and you do want to play multiplayer, it's local multiplayer, but I can share screens and we can do multiplayer, and then we can scream at each other over the headphones. Go, this doesn't fucking work. You pulled the wrong angle. I'm bouncing into walls. The air's leaking out of the. Yeah, that was the funniest one. The first time you try it, it says things like, go outside and repair an antenna, and you think, oh well, that's fair enough. You sort of crab along till you get to the airlock, and you sort of see this handle, and you think, oh well, that's the airlock handle, and it opens the outside door, but you didn't find the airlock handle for the inside door, so all the air comes rushing out and it just poots you into space, and you're like, oh. I've just done that. What was it, Baby Bear thing in Event Horizon? It just blown myself completely out of an airlock. So yeah, there's a lot of that sort of like, oh, I've there's a little bit of oversight here. I've kind of made a terrible mistake. I've flown off into the deep. This was never that hard for bloody Sandra Bullock. Anyway, yeah. So like I say, that was it. Really, that's been my week. Really. Yeah. The only other thing I got today, 2 art of books. One was the art of Arrival, which was more of a making of book, so it feels like it's been mislabeled. It's more of a making of the film. And the other one is the art of Love, Death and Robots, and it is absolutely stunning. Even if you don't like the show, but you like the art style, look at that. Get that book. It is really, really good. Lush goes through every episode, designs, artwork, concept art, paintings. I literally want to buy a second copy of the book and just cut it up and put it into like frames. Some of the stuff in that is awesome, absolutely awesome.
There's more than one season of that, isn't there?
Three seasons.
I think I've only seen the first season.
The third one, to be quite honest, is actually probably the best, I thought.
Right.
Because it sort of stops going into the sort of like, oh, let's show boobies every 5 seconds, which sort of really kind of saturated the first season. And there's one episode which is very, very well done, which looks photoreal, and it's kind of like about this bunch of Marines who go into a cave to clear out some terrorists, only to find that what's really at the end of the cave is not terrorists, and it's really good. There's also another one about a pirate, not a pirate ship, a sort of Victorian era trawler that gets a unwelcome guest, and how the captain sort of does a deal with it. And both of those are really good, especially the captain one, because it's directed by David Fincher. It's really cool. Called Bad Traveller. Even if you don't watch the rest of them, just watch that one, because that is superb. Absolutely superb.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, it's got a lot more humour, season 3. Night of the Miniature Living Dead is also quite good, where everything's those tilt shift videos where they make everything look like models filmed from about 1 million miles away.
Yeah.
Imagine an entire zombie apocalypse happening from that kind of distance, 40,000 millimeter lens, everything's teeny tiny and everyone's running around and it's all like ultra high speed stop motion. And it's hilarious. It's amazing. It's like Lemmings in isometric Lemmings with the end of the world due to a zombie apocalypse because someone decided to have a quickie behind a church and desecrated the church. But it all happens so small, and it's really funny. It's well worth a look. Yeah, season 3 of Love, Death and Robots is actually very, very good.
Okay.
Definitely check that out. That's on Netflix. Right, I'll leave that there because, like I say, I haven't got much really in the way of this week to talk about. But what I have got is I got a piece of feedback on last week's episode, which was Event Horizon. Now, I think it was safe to say Jim was, fairly more open to being positive about it than the rest of us. I think it was safe to say. But we didn't get much in the way of feedback on the Facebook group, at least not as far as I can tell. Just double checking. Oh no, we did. We got a piece of feedback from David Renane because he was saying about like when we were talking about fixing how would you fix the film, and he said listening to the cast, a possible fix for me rather than have a remake is to do a sequel where the events of the first movie are actually Cooper's account of what happened on his return to Earth, and all the inconsistencies and silliness are actually his attempt to Soze his way out of it, and the sequel focuses on uncovering the actual truth.
Ooh. Okay.
Which is cool, but
interesting. I like it.
It's quite a cool one actually. And yeah, I like the idea of it, but I also don't like the Cooper character, so I'd probably be quite done with it.
You know what people would say about that, though?
Go on.
It'll be null and void in the original film. Because it's only an account of someone's version of it. It's not the version of what happened. And so it'll be like, well, that just null and voids the first one, so what's the point? You know what people are like nowadays.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Well, we'll see. I mean, I don't think they'll ever do a sequel to it. I'd love to see a remake. Adrian Saunders is also on the Facebook group. He said films that put pen through holes explanation of the wormholes. And he said Jane Foster in Thor Love and Thunder explains the was it Rainbow Bridge to Asgard by putting a pen through a folded paper, and then he wonders if there's a cutscene where she ties 3 tumble dryers together to create an event horizon. I don't know quite where that was coming from because I can't remember the episode, but yeah,
we need to keep a track on this now.
What
on films that have they explain the folding of space and time by using a sheet of paper and putting a pen through it.
Yes.
You need to keep hold of that because one day all of these films will converge into the same space and time which they have folded.
Yeah.
And end up pushing pens through each other.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's all a conspiracy theory by pens. Maybe pens have all got the same thing. Maybe the pens are sentient and trying to just get us to push them through paper.
Maybe that's what Prince Charles had problems with earlier on today.
A bloody pen.
It's gone everywhere. This bloody ink has gone everywhere. You're trying to push this through a piece of paper. Were you trying to explain faster than light travel?
Oh, God, no.
It seems like you've been doing this. Made a fucking mess out of everything.
And that was when we heard the SO-19 kick the doors in at Elton's house. Trust me, we'll be on the list. We're on the list somewhere, man. I'm telling you, it's all your fault.
I just love the fact that we'll have to explain it in front of a judge.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about Event Horizon, Your Honour, and we decided to besmirch the good name of the new king.
Event Horizon? Is that the one with the piece of paper that they fold and push a pen through? Yes, it is. Yes. Of course, I've seen that many a time.
Yeah, that's how they explain Einstein-Rosenberg bridges, by folding pieces of paper together.
Well, actually, just remind me, in The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that most remarkable book, it does tell of one of the researchers of the guide claim to have solved the mystery of where all the biros go. Pens left unattended find their way through wormholes in space to a planet where they can live a unique biroid way of life.
Nice.
Which is a fun theory until he claimed to have actually found it and worked as a chauffeur for a family of cheap green retractables.
Do you know what? I'd pay to see a film of that. I would. Anyway, I've got one last piece of feedback, which came from Scott Morrison through the email, which was feedback@blackdogpodcast.com, and he writes, "Greetings all. Thanks for covering what I would call one of my personal frustration films. As everyone mentioned on the podcast, it has a very nifty idea, and I've been a fan of haunted spaceship genre ever since I read George R.R. Martin's Night Flyers." Which, just interrupting there, if anyone has the slightest inkling of watching the TV show miniseries of Night Flyers, don't. And don't also watch the movie version of Night Flyers, which had Michael Praed in it, because that was crap as well. Nowhere near as good as the book. Anyway, Scott continues. And going on to this, I was hoping for a nice little chiller in the same vein as Kubrick's The Shining. But what I got was, well, you covered exactly what was wrong with the movie, and I won't elaborate further. No, sorry, I lied. I've got to get this off my chest. Now, this is all in capitals. What's with all the fucking spikes? Jesus and all the saints. That ship is a fucking OSHA violation on steroids. I even hate the interior of the Lewis and Clark, especially that stupid command chair hanging from the ceiling that makes Fishburne like a little baby. I would ask, brackets tongue-in-cheek, to add a hot liquids warning to the podcast, because listening to the Gumbies explain how warp drives interact with space-time made me snort coffee through my nose. Anyway, good luck to you with your new king and whatnot, Scott Morrison. Thank you very much for that, Scott. I think the Gumbies can explain most scientific concepts. Yes. All you have is an Einstein Rosenberg bridge. You put together the paper. Anyway, yes. Well, we'll watch out for that next time, Scott. We'll put a warning on the front. If we actually start laughing ourselves at our own jokes, that's when you know you're in trouble. Right. Anyway, that's it. So, as ever, if anybody else would like to send any feedback in for this episode or any other episode, by all means do so by leaving a message either in the Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/The Black Dog Podcast, or by sending over an email to us, which is feedback@blackdogpodcast.com. Or you can hit us up on Twitter, which is @blackdogpodcast. Basically, just write Black Dog Podcast in your search engine and see what comes up. See whether or not we've been arrested or not. We'll probably be in the news tab pretty soon. So we'll leave it at that, and we will now roll the jingle as we go to check out the Netflix thriller I Came By. Yes, that one. I Came By. Came by.
I see it's nearly 5 o'clock. I'm here at home, my work's all done. No question where I'll be tonight, a place of cinematic fun. It's the lockdown, but I will not pout. Oh, my friends, I won't be seeing this out alone. There's Lee and Elton and Jim and Darren, all sitting far apart for social distance. We're at the shut-in cinema, down in the bunker of shun. Down in the bunker of shun. fellas, it's been nearly 5 years. You gonna let me out now or what?
No. Right, so I Came By train. I Came By airplane. No, I Came By is a 2022 British crime thriller written and co-produced and directed by British-Iranian filmmaker Babak Anvari, who we have previously reviewed one of his films, which was Under the Shadow. The film stars George Mackay, Purcell Ascot, Kelly MacDonald, and Hugh Bonneville. Yes, that nice Mr. Brown from the Paddington movies. I Came By was released in the United Kingdom on the 19th of August in 2022 and was streaming in America on the 31st of August 2022 by Netflix. There is literally nothing on the wiki about how much it cost to make, and absolutely nothing on how much it made, because, let's be honest, they don't release those kind of numbers because they don't want anyone to know anything. So, we've got nothing, absolutely no information on this film at all. Elton, you chose it.
Yep.
So you'll go last. Jim, you've seen it before, so you'll go after me, because this is the first time I've seen it.
Okie dokie.
So we'll do this. So round table, what you think of it, and I'll just start by saying I really like this kind of thriller. I like the thriller where it's the cat and mouse thing. The tension, the kind of get away, kind of tension, kind of thing, and I really like that kind of thing. Overall, I like this film. However, I will just say that the one thing that threatened to derail it was the last 15 minutes of it, when it kind of goes from social commentary, state of the union, kind of like, here's hierarchy, here's what power gets you, here's what privilege gets you, to suddenly we're going to have a punch up and that's that. But otherwise, loved it. Jim, what about you?
I really enjoyed this movie. I mean, I had no idea what I was going into. It just sounded intriguing. I didn't even... The director's name rang a vague bell, but I didn't Google it. We just thought, sod it, we'll give it a go.
Yeah.
And so I thoroughly enjoyed it because it didn't pan out the way I was kind of expecting. And it's a proper, like, layers of the onion sort of a plot.
Yeah.
So, I won't break up the spoiler thing just yet, but it does a very clever thing of that. You think you're going to get one sort of film, and it shifts its gears several times.
Yeah,
and just at the right time of just when it could start getting a bit rote.
Yes,
and I think it just does it well enough, and it just, I don't know. I really, really thought, I know the director said, you hope audience would find this film a really sort of fun ride to go on, and I think that's. I think he nailed that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's good. It's interesting the way it shifts gears, and I think we'll talk about that a little bit more once we're into spoilers area. But yeah, that kind of thing I really do appreciate, when you're kind of like, you're sitting there. Yeah, I know where this is going. I can just pick up my phone and just half listen to this thing now. And hang on, no, it's not gone where I thought it was going to go. Right, fine. I'm now having to pay a lot more attention. Cool. Okay, Elton, you picked it, obviously.
I did. This is the second time I watched it. I think I watched it on the day that it got released on Netflix. And just as you said, I put it on for background. I thought it had that feel of a Sunday afternoon, evening TV film. And I thought I'd just put it on in the background while I was doing other little things, and all of a sudden found myself not doing the things I was doing and just gripped by it.
Yeah.
And it was a case of, I can't do anything else now. I need to know where this is going. and I was really entertained the first time round. The second time round, I was very much entertained, just as much, because you know where it's going. You're interested to see how it unfolds without the shock and horror of, oh, where's this going? What happened there? Why did that kind of happen? But now you know, it's pleasurable to see it unfold in the way that the director had a vision of it. And yeah, I really enjoy this. It does still have that TV feel. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just the quaint building in London, the house in London, and very small set type thing. But I still really, really enjoy it. I think the performances from everyone are brilliant.
Yeah.
I think that the cuts where it as you said, Jim, and you said, Lee, about where it transitions between it's going off in a certain position, it cuts heavy, and then something else happens and someone continues, and then it cuts again, and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah.
There's a kind of disorientation moment of kind of like, hold on, does that mean what I think it means? Oh.
Yeah, oh yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah. But it's never shown. And I quite like that.
Yes. Yeah, I'll be honest with you, that kind of reminded me of Halloween. I know it sounds weird, but if you watch Halloween, and it's always been a thing I brought up often when talking about horror films, but it doesn't show you a hell of a lot. There's not gore and blood and guts and everything.
No.
But you don't need it. You just need to know that something bad's about to happen. Thank you very much, and good night.
That's all you need, though,
and sometimes. Yeah, and sometimes that's all you need. Okay, I'll tell you what. Should we get on with talking about it properly and just give everyone a sort of... Basically, it's a thumbs up from all of us, I think it's safe to say, with maybe a caveat from me about the ending, which we will discuss later. But this is a spoil. We're going to have to talk about spoilers. We're going to have to drop a lot of stuff in there. Yep. So basically, if you haven't seen this film, go watch it and then come back to us on it. Because I think genuinely the best way to watch this film is completely unaware of any plot points at all. I think, you know, a lot of the joy in this is in the discovery of it.
Yeah, and working out the plot points as well, because you won't get it immediately. It will be hinted, and you're like, okay,
yeah.
Really?
There's a lot of stuff where you go, I know where this is going. I don't need to concentrate, and there'll be lots of moments where you think, oh, that's changed. That's changed matters quite considerably. So, yeah, I'd say if you haven't seen it, go watch it first before we discuss any further. And know from here on in, we will start discussing the film, and there will be spoilers from henceforth. Mm-hmm. From henceforth? Bloody hell, what am I?
From henceforth.
Fucking hell. Yeah, me done talk English like what normal people done does.
No, that's how you should introduce all the spoilers from now on.
Now on, henceforth spoilers. Henceforth spoilers.
The drawbridge is going down.
Yeah, okay. The spoiler carriage has arrived. Hold on. Yeah, which way round's the kazoo supposed to go? There, that way. So the spoiler bridge, Imperial warship, reverse the flow of time. So okay then, right? I think they've been suitably warned. So, okay, let's start at the beginning.
Henceforth,
forsooth.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Oh. It's all right, don't worry. I was going to try and get a sneaky swig of tea in there. Anyway, so let's start from the beginning, right? Because the one thing I think is quite interesting is George Mackay's character. Because you're brought in on him right at the start. And it's interesting because his character could very easily be presented in a similar way to John Boyega's Moses from Attack the Block. How did you guys find him when you first see him? I mean, because, did you sympathise? Were you right on with him? Or did you just think, oh, what an entitled art student shit who overthinks things? What did you think about him? Oh, excuse me, tea burp.
I struggled with him because in one sense you have this person who's trying to be righteous and trying. I don't exactly know what he's doing. He's going into houses and tagging them, but that's it. There is no point to it apart from just going in and tagging and pissing rich people off.
Yeah,
which I guess he's trying to stick it to the establishment. But then when his mate comes in and says, "Oh, she's pregnant," and he goes, "She ain't keeping it, is she?" You're like, what? That's so. I don't understand that. There is a massive clash there. There's a real big clash there, which I really struggled with.
Yeah. What about you, Jim? Because
I think the opening sort of credit sequence with the initial job, and particularly his interaction on the tube station, gives you this kind of urban Robin Hood vibe.
Yeah. But
as you see his reaction, say, with his mate, particularly that cafe conversation, but also his relationship with his mother, you realize he's not whiter than white.
No.
And it's one of those things, it's kind of... I felt in this it was well played, whereas in Attack the Block, I think the character's actions lose most people from the get-go.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it gets you on side first, but then says, don't think this is another Banksy. This isn't, yes, he's full of righteous anger, but he's most definitely a flawed, troubled, angry young man who is lashing out, and it isn't kind of all for pure ideological reasons or, proper social justice. A lot of it's, personal projection of...
Yeah.
And I thought that was very interesting because just when you're getting to that point where you're thinking, God, he's a bit of a little shit, isn't he? You get the first sort of big shock of kind of looking through the wrong door in the cellar.
Yes. Yeah.
And that suddenly changes the game for him, and it changes the game for us.
Yeah. Yeah, I found it interesting because in the early bit of the film, one of the themes up until that bit when he looks through the cellar is it seemed to me like there was a theme of hypocrisy going through, of kind of like this whole thing of like, and I don't know whether we're going to discuss another film next week which has got lots of themes and stuff like that which you can sort of read into it, but I was thinking about that as well as this, whether or not the messages were entirely clear. And it was like, because he sort of like, as you say, Jim, he's a sort of Robin Hood, do right, but then he's got this big anarchic kind of symbol on his wall that just says everything is permissible, nothing is, everything is permitted, nothing is, impossible. What's the thing? Is everything's permissible? Oh God, nothing is definite. Everything's permissible, or something like that. Basically, a thing that just says I can do what the fuck I want.
I think it says
I can't remember the
do as I say, not as I do. I know it doesn't say that, but that's the projection that I got, because he is. I think he sees himself whiter than white, and Robin Hood's a very, very good way of actually describing him, because there was a moment where he was robbing from the rich, giving to the poor, and you think, what a great character. This is going to be good. You know, he's kind of working for that person and trying to stick it to the rich people at the same time. And then you just have this slight slither of, okay, that kind of contradicts everything that you're going against. But then when he's really thrown in it, when he looks through that door, you can really see, no, he really means to do well. He could turn a blind eye to this, get out of it. No, I'm way too deep in this and clear off. But it really struggles to actually get on the right side and do right by this other person.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of weird because I found myself really struggling with the character because there's lots of stuff like he's watching the sort of conspiracy theory YouTube and the guy who's supposedly down with the kids, but he's clearly like a 35-year-old man who's just looking for clicks and likes and subscribes. And, you know, so it's like on one hand, clearly that YouTube page he's watching is complete bullshit. And then on the other hand, he's seeing himself as some kind of righteous dude by sort of watching this stuff, but then turning to his mum and saying, "Oh, if you're looking for the TV remote, oh yeah, that just, you know, TV rots your brain. TV rots your brain, and it feeds you lies." And it's like, see, you're not exactly the brightest tool in the shed. You're railing. You look like the hero, but in many ways, you're just not really doing this for the right reasons. You're actually just doing this because you're doing it. It didn't seem as altruistic as it first appears. It just feels like, you know, he's just dressing it up as a sort of justification. I'm sticking it to the man. No, you're just a vandal, really. You're doing, and his mate pulls him up on it and says, you know, what are we actually achieving? What have we done? Yeah. You know what I mean? And so,
it is vandalism for vandalism's sakes, but as long as they get the clicks and likes for it, it kind of pays for itself, doesn't it?
Exactly, and that was what I was going to say. It all comes down to social media awareness and showing off online and, you know, getting the recognition, you know, and all this kind of thing. And then, you know, the thing that spurs him into action to go after Henry's House. Henry's House. Isn't that a TV show from the 70s? Or is that Hector's House, isn't it? Hector's House. Going after Henry's House is really spurred on by that YouTube thing with the tagger going, what has he achieved? What is he doing? It could be any old sod with a spray can being a pretender. And it's just like, so really you're not doing it to really stick it to anyone. You're just self-aggrandizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting. I think it's quite an interesting character. But then there's also things like, you know, his mum sort of like got all the answers for other kids but hasn't got answers for her own. And then she's telling him not to go out, telling her son not to go out and get drunk and come back wasted. And then you literally see her pour out like half a pint of fucking wine and then have that herself. And it seems to me that was kind of like the main theme throughout the sort of first 2/3 of the movie was hypocrisy. You know, on the one hand, you've got this really kind judge who's really kind to everyone, but you know, the police who will uphold the law and do everything right, except, and then, you know, do you know what I mean?
Oh yes,
there's a lot of that,
yeah, and you know, and his mate who's, you know, doing everything right by his wife, except, and you know, that seemed to me to be the main theme of it. Anyway, but how did we feel how old Georgie ended up? How because to me that was kind of like the first. That to me was like the first twist where he suddenly you're like, oh, okay. And I hate to bring it up because it's one of my kind of, oh, he's mentioned that again bingo cards, but it was the discombobulation that you get in Alien when Dallas goes down the tubes and you think he's the hero he's not in the film for the next 2/3 of the movie, right? Next. And how did you guys feel about that?
Well, this is a modern take on the classic Psycho twist.
Oh yeah, with what's his name? I can't remember the lieutenant's name on the stairs.
No, it's with Janet Leigh. You start with Janet Leigh.
Yeah, of course.
She's taking the money. She's getting away. You think it's going to be a noir sort of story about her being on the run with the stolen money, and she stops at a motel and gets murdered all of a sudden.
Yeah, the film changes entirely.
And she was the headline star.
Yeah, I keep forgetting how famous Janet Leigh was. Yeah.
She got very deliberate, like top billing on the posters. So it was a real jolt. Kind of, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, what was that all about? Oh god,
you know what I mean? Because normally for that billing, you're guaranteed to the state of the end.
Oh god, yeah.
But it was a good sort of twist on that, because again, George Mackay's top billing in this, but was extra clever. Was that you don't see it. And slowly the penny drops of, we've seen the last of him, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly.
He's not coming back.
He's not
That's
coming
it.
back.
It's done. Yeah. His story is finished. The baton narratively has been passed.
Well, it is kind of interesting, because even up until like, Hugh, let's be honest, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Hugh Bonneville's the bad guy. But even until the point he confesses that he poured George Mackay's ashes down the toilet, which we'd seen right at the start of the film, we're like, no, he's got to be there somewhere. He's coming back, isn't he? Yeah. His mum's going to find him. It'll be fine.
Well, that's where some of the terror comes from as well. That moment where he tells his mother, and because you see the ashes go down the toilet and get flushed, but before then you've seen the bat get chopped up and burnt, and so you think they are the ashes from the bat. It's just
and the clothes,
and the two guys would be elsewhere, where really him breaking into that house has cost two people their lives, and you don't realise that whole room has been cleaned out until the police go down there.
Yeah.
But the terror for me comes from when his mother is zip-tied up with the red zip ties he found earlier on. And that beautiful line that he says, "Oh, don't worry, you're small. He was bigger. I have to cut this one up. You'll just fit straight in. It'll be fine." And you're like, "Oh no, he means that. You is dead and you is burning."
And then it's just a hard cut straight to her past melting.
Yep.
And that's a masterwork of editing, because it's as you say, as soon as you see George Mackay go, and you see the bat come down, you think, oh, maybe he'll be all right. Maybe he's just being beaten up, and you'll find him in the cupboard, or find him in the cupboard with the other guy. But then 5 minutes later, you're like, actually, I'm not entirely sure I will.
Because that's what I got on the second viewing. Because the first one, I was waiting for him to come back, but I'm very glad that he didn't, because it works so well. And I have read some reviews where people are like, he was there and then he wasn't. Why? What's going on? Like, well, no, but that's a nice. Another film would bring him back. But this one doesn't. You don't get that. Life isn't full of nice, rosy endings. This is a hard ending.
Yeah. Well, interestingly, that is as strange as it might sound, that makes it more realistic. Because, and that was one of the things I really did appreciate, was because, all the way through, and I hate this phrase, it's subverting your expectations. Oh, I hate that phrase. I really hate that phrase. But it is that whole thing of you're sitting there with your Hollywood head on, going, he's going to be hidden away somewhere, knocked out, and we're going to cut to him in a minute with blood on his eye or something like that, just lying there going, oh, God, oh. And then someone's going to come and rescue him, or he's going to get out, and that's going to be half the film of him escaping. And the film just goes, nah, he's dead. Good night. You're like, right, okay, fine. Oh, the hero's out, is he? Oh, This has changed everything a little bit. But yeah, I quite enjoyed that whole aspect of the whole thing. It was just like, yeah, I know what I'm getting. I know where I'm going. I know actually now all bets are off.
I'm a bit of a fan of that hard end to a character that is being built up. I think that's very good. I really do enjoy that. And I did think of Psycho as I was watching it, thinking, yeah, he's not coming back, is he? It's all over. Don't even think about that. And I must admit, even on the first watch, I was still waiting for him to come back, but I kind of knew in the back of my head, we're not going to see him again. And the same thing was going through my head with the mother as well. Like, well, surely she's going to get out, isn't she? Surely. No, I know he said that, but surely she'll just be in a dungeon somewhere, won't she? Oh, no, that's not happening either. No. Then you get two, because then you have her kind of taking on the role of the main character, investigating things, and then she disappears.
Yeah. And that Nike, I mean, sorry, Jim, you want to mention something because I keep jumping straight in. Go on.
I said that's what struck me is kind of because he does this very, very slow rug pull. You know, like that magic trick where you have stuff on a table, someone whips the tablecloth away.
Yeah,
it's kind of with George, he does that very gradually. And it suddenly dawns on you, there ain't no tablecloth. It's gone. It ain't coming back.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
But when his mum starts investigating, you okay, yeah. All right, I know what I'm doing now. Okay. But then she goes, you go, you've done it again. You've got my wallet now. You know what I mean? It's just, you completely don't expect it. The table's gone. How'd you do that?
Yeah, he's nicked my fucking keys. My car's gone from the car park. What the fuck?
Flowers are still standing.
But it's like,
nice.
They wouldn't expect me to do that again. Wrong fucker.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, the wrong...
But he does it in a way that actually puts the cap on actually what did happen to George. That's when you get the reveal.
Yeah, exactly.
And it pushes you into a second one. And that's like very smart.
Well, I was going to say, there was... The one thing I was going to say was the wrong footing actually goes to a point where I suddenly thought, do you know what? There's that bit when I can't remember his name now. I'm going to remember the character's name. Oh my beans! His mate with the pregnant Jay. That's it. Yeah, Jay. When Jay sort of like is having problems with his wife because of the whole holding it back and not saying anything, and then she says, "Oh, he's going to read my dissertation." Were you like me going, yes, you're going to be in the basement in a minute, aren't you? About the mum, the wife.
I'm still unclear as to what was going on there. I know that she had a dissertation to be read, but I'm struggling as to how that all kind of works in.
By the way, I've just noticed
when I gave it a second view, for me, I think basically it meant he was going to be at a certain place at a certain time, i.e. out of his house.
Yeah.
And that's where I said, I hope that helps you.
Yeah, exactly. But there's that, okay. But that's bit just beforehand when she goes in to see her lecturer, and she goes in to see the lecturer. You don't see the lecturer's face, and she smiles. And as soon as she did that, and I thought, they're not showing you this lecturer for a reason. And I thought, oh, he's moved out, he's in a different university or whatever, and she's going to be in the basement. And that kind of was kind of throwing me for a loop again when it turned out it wasn't her. It's like, oh, okay, because you see him come out of that school and he's got the dissertation in his hand and he looks at it and he just throws it in the bin. And I'm thinking, oh no, he's got Jay's wife. And by the way, it is Hector, so it is Hector's house. He's Hector Blake, not Henry Blake. So yeah, I was kind of it kind of started working against me because you're second guessing what you think you know. you go, oh yeah, okay, I know where I am now. And then when it does it to you twice, with kind of Kelly MacDonald going for a Burton, you're suddenly like, oh, okay, so all bets are off. Is the policeman in trouble? Is the policeman going to die? Is the DCI Lloyd or whatever her name is going to cark it? I don't know where this is going anymore.
That's where it could have gone, because Hector definitely had the police in his back pocket, didn't he?
And he did that whole thing of hissing at her in the quote unquote panic room.
Yeah, that's such an overconfident thing of, this is just going to be misinterpreted and you're going to be taken up to your superiors and I'll have a word with him because I play racquetball with him and you'll be put in your place and I'll be put in my place and I walk out of here and you'll never trouble me ever again.
Yeah. And that was kind of almost one of the other themes, wasn't it? It was this, and this kind of leads towards my problem with the ending, but we'll get to that in a bit. But there was a lot of that kind of like powerlessness in the face of, a different class. The class structure is working against you, kind of thing. That, even if you get this guy's like a judge, and he just turns around and he looks at the policeman and goes, "Oh yeah, by the way, I work with your boss. I play racquetball with him. I play squash with him. He's a very good player. I'm sure he'd be very happy to know that you're doing this job on a crank call." And it's just like, oh, you little fucker! You are pulling all the power moves right there, and that same thing with his masseuse as well. I could easily get you a pass here, or I could easily block it. You know that. Get in the car. You're like, oh no.
This is what I like about this is. Everyone has a story. Everyone has like a string that they are following in this film. And it all pays off. There's no real dead ends or anything like that. You have the mum who's working away and trying to help people but can't help herself or her family. You have Hector, who's an absolute bastard, but like a covert bastard. But clearly could have relations with other people, but gets off in the power and abuse instead of actually having I don't think he wants relation. I think he just wants to hurt other people, but uses his power and status as a cover to get into that position where he can hurt other people. But then you have is it Faisal, who the mother is working with. And I'm not quite sure. I forget what he was doing. I know he had problems and wanted to kill himself, but then he didn't want to kill himself. But then he was able to crack the code on the USB. It's like, oh, well, that's handy, isn't it? Yeah,
no, Faisal was all about... again, it's that hypocrisy thing, isn't it? That I was talking about. He wanted to be in computers. His mum wanted only the best for him, and he wanted him to be a doctor. Yeah. And the whole thing was, that hypocrisy of kind of like, we want the best for our son, but we don't want him to do what we don't approve of. And that sort of thing. There's again, I think there's a lot of that, and there's a lot of what I call hidden power, where people in power are just manipulating people without power. Yeah. Using their how can I say it? Their best intentions and people's goodwill and people's need to please other people. And so, by pleasing other people, you put yourself in mortal danger. In fact, there's another film that's apparently doing the rounds and is coming on Shudder that's all about that kind of thing. Which is, I can't remember what it's called. I'll look up the name in a minute, but it's that whole thing of like, you're kind of trapped by your own conscience into a terrible thing.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned in Power as well. There's two beautiful a couple of beautiful moments that kind of relate to each other. The moment where the police knock on the door and he says, would you do me the honour of, removing your shoes? And they both remove their shoes as they walk around. And then you have the masseuse who removes his shoes as well. And then the second time the police visit, he says, please remove your shoes. And they just storm in. They just walk in. And one of them brushes his feet off, but then just walks in. And it is that power of, no, look, we've played your rules. We are fucking coming in.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's again. It's that whole thing of trying to sort of enforce his power by making them, by using society and societal morals and sort of just making everyone. You normally, if you were polite, you'd do this.
Well, yeah, I'm upper class, and so you should remove your footwear before walking around my very expensive rugs.
Exactly. Sorry, I'm again realising I'm sort of doing a lot of talking here. Jim, you got anything?
Well, the thing with Hector is there's definitely, I'm not sure it's intentional or not, but there's certain what struck me as Savile parables.
Yes, definitely.
I mean, Savile was the master of networking. I mean. There's a lot of mud thrown about various organisations you work for, like why didn't they do anything. The bottom line is, complaints were made to various police forces around the country. And what happened was, he was officially resident in London, and police protocol is those complaints get forwarded to the police force of the suspect's residence.
Yes.
And so I can't remember, it was 13 or 15. But over the years, there was quite more than a dozen.
Yeah.
And they just vanished into the Met. And from Savile said, when he got pulled up by the Met, he said, well, I'll ring my good friend Prince Charles, or...
Yes. Yeah,
he had the biggest strings in the world to pull on. And,
That's right.
he was like a poker player, but also like Hector. Hector has that line. Don't think I'm racist. You just look at my career.
Yes.
And Savile was the same. He did all this charity work as a form of, partly as armor and camouflage, but also I think like Hector, as a way of absolving himself for the terrible things he knew he wanted to do and continue doing, but he saw it as a way of, balancing the books.
Yeah. A way of looking good. The moral shield.
Do you think Hector was doing this for good and then he'd just have his bit of fun? Or do you think this was revenge for what happened with his parents and he was just taking it out on other immigrants that were coming in, and he saw someone and he just decided to torture them?
I suspect probably it started as a reliving the revenge.
Yeah.
Or are they going to carry out fully the revenge he couldn't carry out originally? But I think by the time we meet him here, I mean, how many years has he been doing this?
Yeah. I mean,
he's very organized. He's highly organized. This isn't what they call a crime of passion. I mean, when you're dealing with serial murder, you have what they call disorganized and organized killers. Disorganized killers are acting on impulses, and they're very much acting out psychodramas in their crimes, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hector is highly organized by this point. He's doing it because he wants to.
Yeah.
He enjoys it. It's something that he does. He knows it's wrong, but, he's doing his life, spent his life being, a judge for fairness and honour. So that makes it all right. That squares the circle in his head.
Yeah.
That's how I see it.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say the thing that keeps coming to me when I was watching it is it's kind of like another take on that kind of like entitled class, the positive discrimination thing, of Get Out, Get Out was kind of rolling around in the back of my head with this, with a lot of the kind of like, you know, I do pro bono cases for immigrants and that sort of thing. Immigration and discrimination cases, and I'm very, 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 very good. And he was a higher functioning psychopath, like sort of almost like a Patrick Bateman kind of thing. It's like he's got something in him that has to come out every now and again. He knows it, and he has to just act upon it. But he's a premeditated act. He's got premeditated acts, but again, he's got that whole thing of like this kind of air of respectability which acts like a shield, and so he just goes, yeah, that's fine, I can just get away with this. And
so he's happy in helping people, and that kind of washes him of his sins when he looks back on it and goes, well, yeah, look, I killed 5 people, but I saved 20.
Yes.
So that's fine.
Yeah, it's a balance, and I've got this rage in me that I have to take care of.
Yeah. And it bubbles to the surface every now and again, and I have to deal with it. We have to go through these motions. We have to kill someone or 2 people. But tell you what, I'll save another 20. It'll be brilliant.
Yeah, pretty much. What was I going to say? How do we feel, by the way, with Jay as a character? The reason I ask is because, he sort of starts the film fairly centrally, and he just kind of goes away for like a fair portion of it. We only occasionally get 1 or 2 sort of glimpses now and again, and then all of a sudden it's just sort of like they front and center him in the like last 15 minutes, almost as if he's the only character left. How do we all feel about him? Was he kind of fleshed out? Were you cool with that character? Because to me, while he's quite central, he felt like the weakest link of the whole thing, because he's so essential to the whole thing, but you don't really get... He does the Ripley thing. He sort of comes to front and center when the conclusion needs to happen. How do you feel about him?
I think if he'd been honest all the way through, then maybe it wouldn't have got to this point.
Yeah.
He was holding back, and it did feel maybe for the plot, but I think with his mate going off and doing it, and him having a word with him, if he'd been honest about it and said, look, calm this shit down, we need to honestly go to the police and do this thing properly, maybe things would have been quashed then, especially with the mother as well. If he'd been honest with her and sat down and spoke to her and told him about the I came by stuff and earlier on, and gone to the police and been honest with the police when they picked him up, there's a lot of opportunities where he could have quashed this.
Yes, I go along with that. Well, how did you feel about him, Jim?
Well, it's that kind of... what I like about this film is there's so much nuance to the characters. On one hand, as middle-aged men, we can say, if you'd been honest, he's so different. Yeah. But equally, I understand the kind of... I remember being that young, and I remember how your loyalties can be misplaced.
Yeah,
he'd made a promise. It was him and Toby. It was their secret. They were going to tell no one. He opted out. He wanted out. He got out, and he didn't want to get pulled back in or be connected to it back in. And I can understand why. I've drawn a line. I'm just pressure cooking that one. I can just fuck off.
Yeah,
but events won't allow that to happen, and in the short time you think, I'll just ride this out, but then it escalates, and in a way you couldn't foresee it escalating. Let's be honest as well. And so I understand kind of why he's trying to do the right thing and trying to keep a clean sheet.
Yeah.
And that's another big theme, I think, because kind of on one hand, him and Toby are this crew, that if their eye came by, but their circumstances are actually very different.
He's very honest as well. There's that moment where the mum asks him to help her break in, and he's like, "Really? Me? I will go away for this. You know that."
Yeah.
And he has to say no because he's not being selfish. He's thinking of his family.
Yeah, he is, but that's the other thing. It's like it kind of. I guess thinking about it is actually the thing that throws me with Jay and his relationship with his wife and the relationship with Toby and the relationship with Toby's mum is Elizabeth, is the fact that what I did throw me for a bit of a loop was the kind of time jumps. And Jay doesn't feel like he progresses. And the only reason there's time jumps going on is that the first time it goes, oh, Toby's been missing for 72 hours. Mm-hmm. So now we're going to call him an official missing persons. And then you suddenly see, he goes, okay, right, fine. They leave, and he says, oh, well, my wife's pregnant. And then to Elizabeth. And then the next time you see Elizabeth, his wife, Jay's wife, she's being kicked out of the house by her parents, and she's got like a bump.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, hang on, we've jumped like 3 months. And then the next time you see him, they've got a baby, a teeny tiny baby. And it's like, oh, we've jumped forward 9 months now. Mm. And then it jumps again, with sort of like the baby's now like almost toddler age. And it's like, oh, right, okay, so the baby's toddler age. And, they've been living apart for quite a while, and she's obviously doing some dissertation, and Hector's in a completely different university somewhere.
Yeah, and Toby's been gone for ages, and Lizzie has been gone for quite some time as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of like, so when that sort of dawned on me, I was thinking, so what's he been doing? What's been going on? All the other characters, you kind of got a little bit of motivation. Toby's been dead since like almost nearly 9 months now. Hector's kind of jumped ship and moved house, and Elizabeth
because she was just pregnant at the beginning of the film, wasn't she? Yeah.
She'd only just found out, so she would have only been like sort of like 2-3 months tops pregnant. And then next thing you know, the kid gets picked up by the mum, and Jay's in a completely different house, and the kid's almost one, So it's been like the whole film takes place over like almost 18 months, possibly even longer than that. And it's just like, and it threw me a bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, hold on, he's in a totally different place, in a totally different house. And so when I come back to thinking about Jay, I'm suddenly thinking, what's going on with him? Is he obsessed? Has he gone looking for Liz? What's happening? Why has his wife left him? Because he sort of goes up to her and he goes, "It's Liz. I think I've this is all my fault." And she goes, "There." And then the next thing you know, it's cut and they've separated.
I think it was more the secrets. There was something going on. She was not privy to it. And it was just gnawing on their relationship. There was clearly something there that he wasn't saying. And it just gnawed on the relationship and just broke it, really.
Yeah, I think it's just that given the amount of time that's passed, and given that Jay gets sort of front and centred towards the end, it's like I don't feel like I know him any more than when the film started, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Did you feel differently, Jim?
I think more he's kind of like the wall the story plays badminton with. He's the the solid character who's there. I don't think. I think. So watched it again this afternoon. I know what you mean about the ending and the time jumps, but the second time I felt that was a bit smoother because it's that realism of kind of, this isn't Hollywood where he has a revelation and there's a third act resolution. No, in the usual way at least, because basically his marriage collapsed because of those secrets. You can nearly tell his wife, but in the end, when you find them separated, you realise it's because he was still held stuff back, and she just couldn't tolerate that, and that was just that's that. But he's just kind of just been getting on since then, like, which realistically you would do. I mean, what can you do? She knows he can't move on, and he's in this limbo, which is why she sends him. That says about the dissertation, says, I hope this helps you. She knows it's something to do with
Hector,
but she doesn't know all of it.
But again, that's the weird bit, because it's like, if he suspects Hector of doing something, and he doesn't know what, but just doing something, wouldn't he at least mention to her to keep the fuck away from him? There's a couple of bits like that, and you just kind of...
It's one of the things that he's only going to read a dissertation. There's never anything that, she'll actually ever see him.
Yeah, I suppose.
You know what I mean? It's just that kind of... It's just that she'll have that information that he's going to be at that certain place at a certain time to somewhere he's not invited to.
Which is quite interesting, because that certain place and that certain time that he's been invited to is the letter that Jay steals in the first place. Yes. The invite.
To his old school.
To his old school, which I thought was quite interesting. But
everything wraps up really neatly in this, though, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, as you say, there's no loose ends. It's a pretty tight clockwork thriller, for sure.
And the time jumps as well. One thing that tickled me is all of a sudden his house is up for sale. Do you reckon he was going around going, actually, I'd like a house. Yes, it must have 5 bedrooms, but I really need a huge furnace in the basement. Could I have a house with one then, please?
I was going to say, the kiln did move. and so did the fake door wardrobe cupboard shed.
That did,
thing.
Yeah, that was back in.
It's like, wow, that's good. I mean, obviously there's obviously a supplier for panic rooms with the spy hole on the wrong side of the door.
All the same colour.
All the same colours, same props, same everything.
I'd like this door red, if you don't mind. Could you peephole on the other side, if you don't mind?
Yes, and if you can have sort of V-shaped latches to hold the door down, they must be specifically like the ones I had before. Or did he go round unscrewing all the latches?
Well, I think he did a full clean-up on that place. And he'd have built it all himself anyway, probably.
Oh, yeah, because he had his workshop and you could see all the tools lying about,
The door was gone, though, as well. Do you remember when the Jay broke in, went downstairs? He went through the door frame. The door wasn't there, though.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't notice that. But, yeah, you're right. I guess that's exactly it, isn't it? He goes in there.
It's quite expensive. He's like, well, they're not getting that. I'll take that. I know I've gone round the house and done that before.
Nicked all the light bulbs. Elton's nicked all the light bulbs, everyone. Don't buy a house from him.
Put the old incandescent ones in. The energy savers, we'll take them. They're very expensive.
Exactly. Okay, then. I'll tell you what. Let's get to the... Because, time's moving on. But let's get to the ending. How did we feel about the ending? And the reason I say this, because I'll just lay my cards on the table. The ending just seemed to just suddenly come out of nowhere because they couldn't maintain for me, they couldn't maintain the whole thing about, well, there's a man of power, a man of influence, a man of status and position in, high class circles. How is lowly dude from a flat in central London who's barely got a job and can't even hold anything together. How's he going to wrap this up without any resources? And the film just suddenly goes, he's going to break in the house, he's going to have a fight, and he's going to find a bloke in the basement conveniently at the same time. And the film just goes bang, end. And I was left feeling like, yeah, you just were told to wrap it up there.
I didn't mind it. I think the only problem I had out of it was the cheesy, squeaky floorboard and ninja waking up type thing.
Attacked by pillow, die! Which
it was just the way that he was laying there, and he heard the squeaky floorboard and immediately woke up.
Yeah, he was like leaping to his feet, pillow in the face, and it reminded me of Frank Drebin from Police Squad when someone throws a pillow in his face and he kind of holds it to his face, going, "Oh God!" Oh.
But I quite like the tactics in the actual fight. I didn't mind the fight itself. We've seen him fight with the mother as well. We know that he's a bit shit at fighting, but he can get stuff done, and he's resourceful, especially dropping a vase down or stabbing his hands and then dropping a vase on his head down the stairwell. I thought that was brilliant.
It felt a bit Harold Lloyd, but yeah, I get that. Any second now, Jay was going to be hanging off a fucking clock 60 feet up in the air. Yeah, what about you, Jim?
I was thinking of the ending. I know kind of, from what I've gleaned from the interviews, kind of with the very end, from my reading what the director said, he said that he wanted to, give the story a resolution, but also leave a question of kind of, well, what actually happens to Hector? How far does his influence actually reach?
Well,
can he get himself off this particular hook?
Funny enough,
or is it too far?
Funny enough, that was going to be my next question. Do you think he actually got caught? Because the film kind of presents it as he's been caught, but then I suddenly came to the conclusion that two things. One, Jay, who calls in, runs away from the scene of the crime. Mm-hmm. Two, the guy who's in the basement, he is quote unquote an immigrant, as the film would present it. And when you see Hector's tied up in duct tape as if he's had a house raid.
Yep.
And, the bloke who's come out of the basement, who's been saved out of the basement, doesn't speak a word of English. So there's no witnesses to anything. There's just a guy who doesn't speak English, doesn't understand what's happening to him, clearly in a state, just wandering about. The house has been completely raided by the looks of things. There's broken windows, and the main guy, a person of status, has been beaten up and tied up. It just looked like a robbery.
I think we should get our Daily Mail hats on. So, you're right. The house has been broken into. Mm-hmm. The house has been vandalised. The occupant has been tied up and beaten to a bloody pulp. There are precious ornaments and stuff broken all over the house. Mm-hmm. And there is a man tied up in the basement as well, which is probably an illegal immigrant, which they want to sweep under the carpet. He probably came over on one of them rubber boats. I don't know why are they still selling these rubber boats to these immigrants? That's what they should be stopping doing. That's how you stop people crossing the channel. And
here we are on Daily Mail Island. Yeah. Yes, carry on.
And why didn't they just stop in France? That's a safe place. There's no wars in France, are there?
Oh God. Okay.
Sorry, I'm only joking. Sorry.
I was going to say next week we'll get Nigel Farage on for a complete documentation of Blazing Saddles.
But that's the way that they will portray it. This poor man who he was a couple hours ago giving a beautiful speech at a boarding school where he said he was at home. And then he had a house invasion.
Exactly.
And there was an immigrant who he said he possibly could have been looking after, but maybe he was after revenge.
Or maybe that person was an accomplice to the person who robbed his house.
Exactly.
There's 101 different ways it could be spun, and as long as nobody understands the words that are being said by the other bloke, and most likely wouldn't put a lot of credence in it even if they did, it is literally just a judge who's been tied up, and his house has been robbed.
We don't believe the person that was supposedly in his basement. No, we don't do that.
No, but who's the lead copper on the scene?
Yes, admittedly, it's DCI Lloyd who's already got it in for him.
But there would be forensic evidence of that guy's blood all over that fucking panic room. Not to mention probably the blood of several others. And it's kind of how many strings could he pull further up the chain to get himself off with this? Because there's always the question of kind of, you can pull strings, but some people at the other end, you say, you know what? No, fuck you. We're not going to get dragged into this.
Yeah,
we're going to snip those strings and watch you drop. I mean, just look at Saffel. Saint Saffel, oh, he's dead. Oh, bastard, evil pervert, Saffel the monster.
Yeah.
The papers soon turned. Didn't take a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
The old fickle court of public opinion. I mean, I think kind of any strings you could pull would be kind of, well, no, I'm sorry, Hector, you fucked up badly there. Look, this is a mess. Come on, man. You didn't tidy up after yourself, you know. You're only yourself to blame.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be quite honest, it is interesting that you know there is a way of sort of framing it and saying, yeah, he's got caught, and there's also a way of framing it and saying, no, he didn't. And in many ways, I'd like to think that ambiguity is there purely to leave a final mark on how you feel about society. You know, if you look at society in one way, you'd say, yeah, justice for justice for the little guy. On the other hand, if you're looking at it from another perspective, you'll go, yeah, he's going to be back out, and all those policemen are going to get fired for wrongly imprisoning the victim of a robbery. You know what I mean? And you know, he'll get off, a couple of words in the right ears, and he'll be out. And you know, because let's be honest, you know, apparently if you've got like 12 million quid and don't mind losing a few medals, you can get away with pretty much anything. A little bit of politics there. But yeah, so in some ways, you know, I like the ambiguity of that, and it kind of cements the overall message of the story, which is, you know, that privilege lets you get away with murder effectively. Phrasing. But
depends if his mum's got like 12 million quid.
Well, that was the other interesting thing, though.
Yeah,
Hector, how high do you place Hector in the pecking order? Because let's face it, he was a very minor public school. He wasn't one of the big famous ones.
No, but
and his London house wasn't that swanky.
No, but
you know what I mean. It's kind of he's kind of there's leagues and leagues, shall we say?
Yes, yeah. I was going to say,
and there's kind of circles within circles of how much influence he could have.
Yeah, I think the thing is, I took his sort of influence to be more to do with the fact that there's a kind of line at the very start, towards the start, where he kind of goes on about the fact that he's such a good judge and he's so well respected that when he left, the High Court tried to get him back. You know, there's a line about it like that, as if to say, you know, that, you know, he's you know, he's very high up the tree, and the fact that he just left is a complete scandal. And, you know, but he's making it this kind of big issue so he can say, you know, stand there as this moral guardian. So to me, I think I would still say the fact that he's having squash games regularly with the chief of police kind of tells you where he is. You know, if he's not mayoral level or ministerial level, he's not far off.
Do you reckon he'll be done for previous murders then?
Probably not.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
I think he was very good at covering himself up, wasn't he?
Well, I was going to
I
say...
think even in most serial killer cases, they only get tried usually for a handful of their crimes. And that's, it's what you can actually prove in court.
Well, exactly. And it's very hard to put a body together from ash recovered from a toilet, to be honest. Yeah. I just think that the ending was a touch of a misstep. I have to be honest with you. I thought it was just too quick wrap up and too neat. Given how everything else had tried really hard to kind of go, yep, this person ain't going to survive being surprised by a psychopath from behind, and yep, this person ain't going to be surprised. Yeah, this person who's fallen on his own hammer and been hit with a cricket bat ain't coming back again. And to suddenly have it just like, oh, he finds out where everyone is with a convenient sort of like plot drop from Basil exposition. Oh, he's going to be at this school. Oh, right, okay, brilliant. And he's going to be at this house. Right, brilliant. And then suddenly, ta-da, it's all over. And just happens to have someone in the basement at the time. I just thought, it's a bit too neat. But apart from that, I thought it was good.
Okay.
Anything else? Anyone else? Sorry, I just ramrodded in with the conclusion.
About the people in the basement, I think he had just a rolling stock of those.
Yeah?
Well, the thing is, it's kind of... He wasn't... my impression was he liked to make them suffer. But it wasn't like... It was just a little bit at a time, and drawing it out and out and out. Because especially with the first guy, if you look kind of the length of his beard and the number of wounds on him, that guy had been there for a long time. Months in that fucking basement.
Yeah.
So I didn't think it was too much of a stretch that he'd have another one on the go at this new place.
Actually, here's a thought for you. When he was watching Rick and Morty, and which I thought was quite funny, because it was that whole thing of it was the episode with Rick and with the multiple Mortys and the abuse of power once the Mortys were in charge.
There you go. There's a theme.
There's a theme, yeah. But the little man getting the power. But it was, what I thought was interesting was you could hear the banging in the basement, which was supposedly the washing machine. Was that possibly Toby? Because you never see who was down in that basement at that time, or do you think you got someone else in between that we just didn't see?
I'm trying to remember exactly when that happened. Because the police knocked and then looked around the house, didn't they?
Yeah, when he was still pulling the chief of police thing. And this was...
They didn't find the room at that time, did they?
No, they didn't. So in many ways, was it his mum convincing the police to come and go and see him that basically sealed his fate?
To be honest, I think he killed Toby there and then, and probably killed the other guy there and then. Because he had do you remember when he had the mother down there, he pulled the dead body out to sort out. So he clearly killed it and then left him in there for a bit.
Yeah, that was the dead body of the masseuse.
That's right. So that shows you that he kills and then deals later on. So I think he would have killed Toby and the other guy immediately then, and maybe dealt with them later on. But I don't think that they were there banging on the doors.
Oh, right. So there was some other poor sod down in the basement.
Yeah, when he cricket backed Toby, then that's when he did him. He murdered him then.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Anyone got anything else additional to add? Because I was going to say because I've got to say I enjoyed this film a lot, but the ending was the real sort of weak part for me. But we've kind of covered that, so I don't really want to rehash it. But got anything else you want to bring up?
The only other thing that I felt, now this is a silly thing, it doesn't really do anything with the story or anything like that, and maybe it's just me being an idiot, but when Jay was in his flat with the kid and then the mum of the kid came over, pick him up, this is like male chauvinist, I'm sure it is, but he didn't walk her home. And he's on a council estate and she's got a baby and I don't know. It was just a thing. Maybe he didn't walk her down to the car. I don't know. But I would have just gone down to the car, just make sure.
Okay.
It just played on my mind a little bit. I'm really sorry. I needed to get that out to say it.
I'm going to be honest, it's not something that leapt to mind with me, but, Jim, did it
you
bother
just
you?
don't care. You just don't care, do you? That's all it is.
Let's be honest. While we've been recording, my daughter has come all the way from Lewisham at 11 o'clock at night. So,
we don't care then. Oh, that's
so
fine.
we don't care. We don't. No, but seriously, I mean...
I told you it didn't mean anything. Just a thing that I observed and was like, oh, really? Okay.
Okay. You got any thoughts on that, Jim?
It must mean that didn't register with me at the time.
There you go.
Sorry.
This is an interesting point.
Well, yeah, I guess so. It's cool. If you got any just moving briefly on, have you got anything additional you want to bring up, Jim? Anything you want to mention?
Not I can think of offhand.
No. Cool. Okie dokie. Well, in which case, walking people home aside. Yeah. I think we can wrap it up there. Yes, overall, thumbs up. Liked it a lot, and I'm quite impressed with it. For a Netflix film as well, because I don't know about you guys, but how do you feel about Netflix films as a rule? Because I tend to find that Netflix originals tend to be whole lots of nothing.
I blow hot and cold with them. Sometimes you'll get the odd good one, and I think this was the odd good one. But there's a lot of chaff and not enough wheat.
Yeah. Yes. Jim?
Well, the thing is, I think it's got a bit blurry since COVID because we're getting a lot of stuff being released as a movie for this streaming platform, but it wasn't necessarily, it didn't start life with that in mind, if you know what I mean. It's kind of going to streaming is kind of replacing going direct to video. Yeah. And it's one of those things. It's I think probably now on balance, when I think about it in those sort of terms, I'm probably less judgmental about these sort of things because it is kind of the nature of multiplexes is you've got more screens, but 5 of them are showing the same fucking film, and you're not really getting much more diversity than the bad old days of just, screen A, screen B at the local flea pit.
Yeah.
And if you want to catch any of these sort of films, in a theatre, you have to go to a festival still, or maybe a big city art house film might place, or a Prince Charles, might be showing them for a couple of days. Otherwise, they will just appear on streaming. So it's one of those, you pay your money, you take your choice, really. I mean, like a lot of films, it's kind of, I recognise the director, it sounds interesting, has actors in I like, I'll give it a go.
Yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, I was just going to say the one thing I find with Netflix films, especially the bigger budget ones, like The Grey Man, or was that one with Ryan Reynolds, the Red Notice or whatever it is, it's just like, oh my God, what a absolute pile of arse.
Mm-hmm.
They're just kind of 10 minutes of good ideas, and the rest of it's just a complete fucking nightmare of boredom.
Yeah,
it's kind of where it is. Yeah, the Red Notice one, that, and then what was the other one? The Six Underground.
Oh,
do you remember
the
that?
Alex Project as well?
Oh God, yeah, all of those. Just yeah, a bit.
Well, I'm not saying this is like a Bird Box or anything like that, because you had that come out and that was like a massive hit, wasn't it?
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I think it was more the gimmick of the film than anything else.
Well, it was just. Oh, can we make another Quiet Place? But we can't copyright infringe Quiet Place, so we can't have silence. We have to have blindness.
Yeah.
It was the was it Stephen Moffat Doctor Who idea? First you can't blink, then you can't breathe, then you can't. What's the other one you can't do? Sleep.
I can't smell.
Can't smell. Can't hear. Can't make noise. So yeah. Okay. Anyway, that was it. It was just a curious thing because I keep looking at Netflix at the moment, and there's lots and lots of films on there, and I keep thinking, oh, that sounds really interesting. And then I notice they all are about 2 hours and 6 minutes, which seems to be some kind of arbitrary kind of sweet spot. Long enough to feel like you've watched a film, but short enough not to kind of go, oh, for fuck's sake. But anyway, sorry, it was just a...
That's probably down to their algorithm. I'm sure they've got an algorithm
Probably.
where they say, well, this is their attention span. Let's keep it to that. It'll be fine.
Yeah, definitely. Right, okay, well, we'll leave it there. We shall wrap it up there. And before we head over to Pimp's Corner, it is Darren's choice this week. Darren, as you may have noticed, is not here. So, we are using a Ouija board to contact him. And we're casting... Hold on, let me get the Ouija board out. There you go. That's the Ouija board working. It's fully working. Yeah, I know. I'm getting words. Hold on, I'm getting the words. Yeah, the film is Nope. There you go. We're going to watch Nope. No, which has nothing to do with the fact that on the Facebook group we put up a poll saying, "Would you like us to discuss Nope?" Which we got. We got something like 84% of the respondents said yes to no, and only 4% said nope, which was just one person. So you can do the maths from there. And then
screw that person, whoever that is.
Jack
it's probably
Woodgate.
Darren, actually.
No, it's Jack Woodgate. Yeah, Darren. No. And then finally we had 3 people who responded to my ever so humorous third option, which was I couldn't give a monkeys.
Ah.
Have a think about it.
Yeah, nice.
Anyway, so next week, ladies and gentlemen, when we come back, fully mob-handed, we will be going into Nope. And hopefully we'll be on Tuesday as well. So there you go. So we will be doing Jordan Peele's Nope, which is available on streaming services in the States. Amazon, I believe it is, but Amazon Prime. And I think it's on rental over here on Amazon Prime, and is available still in the shops, in the theaters. Yeah, this film's not available in the shops. So, if you have any thoughts on Nope, or I Came By, or any other films, then obviously get in contact with us at all the usual places. On email, feedback@blackdogpodcast, on the Facebook, which is facebook.com/groups/blackdogpodcast, and on Twitter, which is just blackdogpodcast. Right, now, before we leave, it's time to head over to the murky worlds of the Pimp's Corner, and we shall pimp out all the things that are happening over on Hypnagoria Land. So, Jim, what have you got for us?
Well, I've just released a maybe final episode of my History of Universal Horror. Part 25. How did that happen?
It's getting there. It's not quite up to the Batman levels yet, but we're getting there.
Oh, no, it's past Batman a long time ago.
Well,
a long time ago.
Batman feels longer, but this is good. It's good.
This week, either I'm releasing a minisode with a now useless to use spoiler-free discussion of I Came By, with lots of bits talking about Under the Shadow and the movie did In Between Wounds.
Oh, yes.
Or it might be a tribute to Peter Straub, depending on what shit happens in the next couple of days.
Well, I was going to say, yeah, it seems like horror writers and horror authors and horror directors all seem to die within like spitting distance of October, which is, as we all know, Hypnagogia Christmas.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I'm already planning out the end of the year.
Oh, blimey. Okay.
And yes, there may well be a commentary club looking at the first episode of The Young Ones.
Oh, cool.
Oh, nice.
That's on the box set on the BBC iPlayer currently. So
nice. Nice. I look forward to that. Cool. Before we go into the rest of Pimp's Corner, I mentioned earlier on, before we go into Elton's thing, I mentioned earlier on there was a horror film about manners, basically trapping you in a complete nightmare of your own making. And I said I couldn't remember the name. I have finally Googled it and have found out, and it's actually being released on Shudder on September the 15th, and it's called Speak No Evil. It's Danish, not Scandinavian.
Interesting.
Yeah. I will say no more because I've read too much about it. Unfortunately, I stumbled across a spoilery review, but I'm quite interested to have a watch of it. But yes, it feels very much like The Trip. That's all I'm going to say. But anyway, yes. So just tying up the loose ends there. So anyway, back to Pimp's Corner. Elton, what is going on Rogue 2 Media?
Well, the website is down at the moment. It's gone a cock after I did an update and WordPress just went wonky and decided to kick everything off. So I have to work on that for the next week or so to get that back up and running.
Oh, right.
But the shows are still coming out, which is good. So you still have the Grand Prix podcast where we talk about cars going around in circles. Yay. And by the time this drops, this will be dropping tomorrow morning, Thursday morning. So, yeah, a new episode of Shonky Lab will be out in the wild. Wow. And it's myself and Darren talking about streaming services.
Oh, interesting. Okay. How many streaming services does he have?
Well, quite a lot, actually.
Oh, God. Okay. Fair enough. I did things you didn't know. You're always learning. But
it does. As with a lot of Shonky Labs, it does take a left turn into. Does cinema really have a place in this world anymore? And so.
Or does it go right off the rails and go straight into. Which seems to happen every time on Shonky Lab. Especially when Darren's on it.
No.
Yes. Anyway, right. So they can all be found over at rogue2media.com.
Yeah, I would just go to podcast catchers and
iTunes and
iTunes,
and stuff.
Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okie dokie. Well, as far as promoting anything else other than this podcast, I would just like to say that the second part of the discussion on Half-Life is on the Great Derelict with me and you, Elton, and Andy, and we're talking about Half-Life 2, which can be found over at thegreatderelict.libsyn.com. Will we get to Half-Life 3? Can we ever count to 3 when we're discussing Half-Life? You'll have to wait and see. So, so that's over there, and apart from that, nothing else to promote, really. So it just leaves me to say thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, Elton.
Thank you.
And, yes, thank you all for listening. Stay safe. Enjoy your bank holiday, either morning things or not, or lamenting the fact you can't get back into your cabin at Centre Parcs. And yeah, we'll see you next week when we will be discussing. Nope. Until then, take care. Speak to you soon. Tatty bye.
Bye-bye.
Ta-da.
There's a voice that keeps on calling me. Down the road, it's where I'll always be. Every stop I make a new friend. Can't stay for long, just turn around and I'm gone again. Maybe tomorrow I'll wanna settle down. Until tomorrow, I'll just keep moving on.
Get out of the booth, Jack.
No, I like it in here.